This is an interview that Tyson Fury did on IFL TV a few days ago. Says several interesting things here. He talks about Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller. He calls them both bums. He says it's a low-level fight, but it should be fun, basically. You know, he says he essentially suggests that they're fairly evenly matched, but neither of them are particularly good. So he's expecting a fun little fight, basically out of AJ versus Miller. Interestingly, he leaves the door open for a possible showdown against Dillian Whyte. Okay, you got Boxing Scene quoting from this particular article where he says, he deserves a world title shot for sure, and when I beat Wilder in my next fight, I will give you that shot no problem, as I am not a you-know-what. I'm a man of my word. If I beat Wilder, when I beat Wilder in my next fight, you can have it next, because AJ ain't going to fight you because he is a you-know-what. So that was a quote from this particular interview. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Dillian Whyte being left in no man's land because of the fact that the Tyson Fury-Deontay Wilder fight might not happen now because of Tyson Fury announcing this ESPN deal, and that potentially making it a lot more difficult to do a deal with Deontay Wilder, particularly when we're hearing that Bob Arum, Tyson Fury's co-promoter, has offered Wilder a, 5-fight promotional network tie-in to ESPN if he wants the Tyson Fury fight. When you're hearing stuff like that, it kind of gives you doubts about whether this fight is actually going to happen next or at all for the foreseeable future. And I'm talking about Fury Wilder 2. But all hope is not lost yet. They still might be able to get the business done. And hopefully we'll get an announcement that will, leave everybody relieved. And we'll hear that Wilder Fury 2 is going to happen. But if not, I don't think the situation for Dillian Whyte is that bad necessarily, because Dillian Whyte, there's all this talk of Deontay Wilder being a free agent. Dillian Whyte's a free agent. There's nothing stopping Dillian Whyte fighting Tyson Fury on BT, on ESPN. What's stopping him from doing that? Yes, he has had this long-standing, long-existing relationship with Sky. But if Wilder and Fury are not going to rematch next, then there's a good chance Wilder is going to fight his mandatory Dominic Breazeale. And maybe Tyson Fury, as he said in this particular interview, would be interested in a Dillian Whyte fight. Yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury is, as I've said in recent videos, regarded by an increasing number of people now as a champion in everything but, a champion without a belt, basically. He has the status of a champion, but none of the responsibilities. He's now got this deal with ESPN, which has brought a lot of money to the table. So perhaps he could entice Dillian Whyte. Perhaps they could put some kind of package in front of him and actually eclipse what AJ offered him. Because I believe AJ offered Dillian Whyte something like £5 million. The final offer was, perhaps Tyson Fury is going to offer him, 5.5 or 6 million and say, let's do it, as a way of saying, look, this is how you treat a fighter fairly, because it's all about the propaganda war at this point, isn't it? It's not just about the battles in the ring. It's also the battles outside of the ring to win the hearts and minds of the fans. And Tyson Fury is patterning himself as this man of the people, the people's champ. And what better way to try and get one over on AJ than to ostensibly offer Dillian Whyte a better deal than AJ was offering him. He can make AJ look even more like the bad guy then. And, I think it's, when you think about it logically, Dillian Whyte is the fourth biggest name in the heavyweight division right now. Yeah, the fourth biggest name. So why wouldn't Tyson Fury be interested in a fight against Dillian Whyte if they can do it for a pay-per-view? I mean, it does depend on what's going on with the Deontay Wilder rematch. Obviously, if Tyson Fury intended to rematch Deontay Wilder in September, then I would think it unlikely, although I wouldn't rule it out completely, but I would think it unlikely that he would take on Dillian Whyte as some kind of tune-up for Wilder. I would think that's unlikely because of the fact that it would be an unnecessary risk when you've got all this money on the table. But hey, Tyson Fury is known to be a risk taker. But now that he's got all this money behind him, will he be so keen to take risks? Will the likes of Bob Arum and Frank Warren be so keen for him to take risks now that he's in this elevated position? So, that's why I think it will probably be unlikely for him to fight Dillian Whyte if the Wilder fight is going to happen later on in the year. But if the Wilder fight is off the table for the foreseeable future and there can't seem to be any kind of deal done, and it's basically up to Fury to fight whoever, then it would not at all surprise me if Dillian Whyte is someone that we see in the ring against Tyson Fury. Because at the end of the day, Dillian Whyte could have fought Anthony Joshua. He chose not to. He can talk about the rematch and all that kind of business. Fair enough. But if he wanted to become heavyweight champion, it was there for him. With Tyson Fury, and we have to remember that Dillian Whyte has been knocked out by Anthony Joshua. The memory of that knockout, I don't care what nobody says, that must still live in Dillian Whyte's head. Whereas with Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte's never been knocked out by Tyson Fury. He's been in the ring with Fury on multiple occasions sparring. And according to Dillian Whyte, he more than held his own in those spars. In fact, he said he dropped Tyson Fury a bunch of times. I, again, personally believe that Dillian Whyte did drop Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has never categorically denied being dropped by Dillian Whyte in sparring. And this, when Dillian Whyte came out and said that he dropped Fury in sparring, that's not the first time that he kind of, in that particular instance, he blatantly leaked information about their sparring, but he had subtly hinted, if you're someone who can read between the lines, at him having a lot of success against Tyson Fury in the past. I remember when Fury was getting ready to fight Klitschko, and Dillian Whyte kept saying that Tyson Fury is chinny. And I'm sure in one of the interviews he said, I've sparred him and he is chinny. And I was like, what? What happened in that spar for you to be saying he's chinny? See, a lot of people don't read between the lines. I read between the lines. And look, I have flaws as a human being, as a person. I got strengths and weaknesses. I know what my weaknesses are. I also know what my strengths are. And my strengths, such as they are, one of them is that I'm a good judge of character and I'm very good at reading people, particularly if I can see people face to face. I'm very good at reading them. That's one of my gifts as a human being. And I'm good at reading between the lines, looking at what people are not saying as well as what they are saying. And over the years, when it comes to, assessing fighters and what their reaction to various questions, I've got a good track record. I remember when the rumors of David Price knocking out Anthony Joshua in sparring were going round, I believed the rumors. Yeah, because I was looking at Anthony Joshua's reaction when he was asked about it. This was even before David Price had come out and said that this had happened. Before David Price had come out and said he dropped AJ in sparring, and it was just a rumor, I personally believed it because I'd looked at Anthony Joshua's body language and his behavior when David Price was brought up as an opponent, and when people had mentioned the rumors to him, again, before David Price had come out and gone public with it. And I could just tell that there was truth to those rumors. And it wasn't just the fact that I'd heard it from multiple different sources on the boxing circuit. I could just tell by AJ's demeanor that there was truth to what was being said here. And the same goes for the Tyson Fury, Jarrell Miller sparring situation. You look at Jarrell Miller's character. This is a guy who's been talking smack about Deontay Wilder for years. This is a guy who's been talking smack about AJ, who's been talking smack about Dillian Whyte nonstop. He's very aggressive when it comes to those three fighters. But with Tyson Fury, a couple months ago, Tyson Fury offered Jarrell Miller a straightener. And he was talking very disrespectfully about Jarrell Miller. And it's not the first time. And Jarrell Miller was reluctant to clap back with any kind of venom. You know, very reluctant to clap back. And it's been that way virtually every time Tyson Fury has brought Jarrell Miller's name up. Miller has been reluctant to clap back. Yeah, he said a few little things here and there, but he's never really gone in on Tyson Fury the way he goes in on these other guys. And I absolutely am 100% convinced that Tyson Fury did drop Jarrell Miller in sparring, did beat him up, and did send him home. I don't know whether he dropped him 7 times in one round. You know, Tyson Fury is well known for exaggerating and embellishing a lot of things. But I certainly believe that he made Jarrell Miller feel his presence in that sparring session, and Miller has never forgotten about it. I certainly believe that based upon Miller's reaction to what Fury has said. And, you know, his demeanor and the fact that he has never categorically denied it. If someone comes out and says they dropped you a bunch of times in sparring and sent you home after a day, you would come out and categorically deny it. But Jarrell Miller hasn't done that. He's tried to, you know, be a little humorous in a couple of interviews and kind of deflect, but he's never come out and categorically said, Tyson Fury never dropped me in sparring. That's a complete lie. Never happened. Never got sent home after a day. Nonsense. That's all you have to do to dispel, you know, this kind of claim. But he's never done that. And on top of that, Peter Fury also alluded to a top American prospect or a top American contender who was absolutely destroyed by Tyson Fury in sparring. He never mentioned who that contender is. I think I know who it is. It's Jarrell Miller. I think that's who it is. So yeah, when you look at somebody's body language, when you look at their response, when you read between the lines, you can kind of deduce or get a very good idea about what's true and what's not true. But, you know, some people are unable to do this. Some people do this better than others. And again, for all my flaws and all my weaknesses as a human being, this is actually one of my strengths, always has been from when I was a kid. I was able to read between the lines with people and figure out what was true and what was not true. And I'm not so easily bamboozled by people and deceived. I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, but generally I'm a pretty good judge of character and good at reading between the lines. So yeah, I certainly am convinced that Tyson Fury did bash up Jarrell Miller in sparring. You know, there's this claim that Deontay Wilder gave Jarrell Miller a concussion in sparring. Look, I don't know who got the better of the sparring session between Miller and Wilder, but I know they sparred several rounds, and Wilder clearly didn't do enough damage to Miller to dent Miller's confidence. Yeah, Miller came out of that sparring session, even if he did get a concussion, he came out of that sparring session with a dogged determination and belief that he could still beat Deontay Wilder, because he's been calling him out, calling him matchstick legs and toothpick legs and all this kind of stuff for the longest while, hunting him down and hoping for a fight with him. You know, you can get a concussion in a fight that you win. Yeah, you can win a fight and still go to hospital for a concussion. So it doesn't mean that you got totally destroyed. And Wilder never claimed that he dropped Jarrell Miller in that sparring session. I think that he said they sparred 5 rounds and Miller had to, go to the hospital afterwards for a concussion. Miller says it was dehydration, not a concussion. But whatever the case may be, Wilder didn't do enough damage to dent Jarrell Miller's confidence that badly. Whereas Tyson Fury clearly did. He clearly made a very lasting impression on Jarrell Miller and dented his confidence severely from that experience when they sparred back in 2011. But yeah, the same goes for Tyson Fury. He's never categorically denied being dropped by Dillian Whyte. And, you know, when I've looked at Tyson Fury's body language, when I've looked at what Dillian Whyte has said over the years with regards to Tyson Fury being chinny, and he said it on multiple occasions, by the way. Dillian Whyte. And I'm talking about several years ago. Dillian Whyte kept on saying Fury's chinny, Fury's chinny. And to me, that was an indicator right there that he's talking from first-hand experience. He's not just talking about the Nevin Pikage and Steve Cunningham situations. He's talking about him being in the ring with Fury and sparring and knowing that he's chinny firsthand. So, and I'm not saying Fury is chinny, but by the way, I'm just telling you that's Dillian Whyte's perspective. So, yeah, don't be at all surprised if we do see the Gypsy King square off against the body snatcher Dillian Whyte sometime in the near future if they can't get the Deontay Wilder rematch signed. Don't be surprised if we see Dillian Whyte over there. Would it be burning bridges for Dillian Whyte to go fight on BT Sport? Potentially. And maybe that's why he might pull away from it. Because it seems like he wants to go down the WBC route, and he's wanted to go down that route for a long time, Dillian Whyte. I don't think he ever really, and this is just my opinion, I don't think Dillian Whyte ever really wanted to go down the AJ route. I feel like that was a route which he was being kind of ushered down to some extent, but I don't think he ever really wanted to go down that route. I think he much preferred the Deontay Wilder route, and if he has to fight a rematch of AJ, he would rather it be a unification, you know? And he's still in a position where he might be able to become mandatory for one of AJ's titles and therefore get a better split and no rematch clause. So that's still a possibility out there. Maybe he'll prefer to do that as well. But yeah, as far as Tyson Fury goes, like I keep saying, if he can't get the Wilder rematch, don't be surprised if Dillian Whyte fights him instead in a British showdown, you know, in the UK. They might try and do it at a stadium. It really would be Frank Warren and Tyson Fury trying to upstage Eddie Hearn for the first time, because Frank Warren still hasn't put on a heavyweight event which has come remotely close to anything Eddie Hearn has done over the past few years. We're not talking about Frank Warren back in his heyday in the 1990s. We're talking about over the past decade. He hasn't put on a heavyweight event or any kind of event that has remotely come close to what Eddie Hearn has been doing. So if he was able to get Tyson Fury, BT Sport box office against Dillian Whyte, that would be Frank Warren's attempt to finally try and compete when it comes to the heavyweight showdown stakes with Eddie Hearn in the UK. Obviously, Frank Warren was part of the Wilder Fury fight, the first fight they had in the United States in a co-promotional capacity, but not in the UK. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about, let me know what you guys think about everything I've talked about in this video. Let me know how you feel. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.